Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Tees. With our inspirational tees, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Tees. Get some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Tees at dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. Hey guys, this is Ernest James, host of the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and I got a question to ask you. Could you buy me a cheeseburger? Better yet, could you buy me a value meal? Yes? Well, guess what? I don't need a value meal. However, for the cost of a value meal, you can support this podcast to keep us on the air. Just go to Patreon/Deal to Heal podcast and choose any one of the 3 tiers that's available. And if you just want to make a one-time donation, go to Cash App and make a donation to $EJames, the number 418. Make a one-time donation to the Cash App, or again, go to Patreon to support this podcast and keep us on the air. Thanks in advance. Be blessed. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, to heal, and to fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share. Do me a favor. Don't keep it to yourself, but share it with someone else that we are up and running. Make sure that you guys are checking us out on our YouTube channel. Definitely want to get more subscribers there. So don't just watch it, but subscribe it. And again, like I said, share it with someone else that we are here, right? That we're doing our thing. So thank you guys very much once again for listening and tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Also, make sure that you guys are checking out our partner podcast. It's a new podcast called the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. On that podcast, my guest and I talk about being a girl dad. As you guys know, I have one biological child, which is my daughter, and I definitely like to encourage, because I am a fatherless daughter advocate, and do work on behalf of fatherless daughters. And so the whole premise behind the Girl Dad Discussions podcast is to promote the relationship of daddy daughter relationships and have the voices of girl dads and their daughters on, and to kind of not bypass, but to battle against the narrative of the fatherless daughter and absent fathers in the lives of their daughters. So we are here, and we are out here, and we are doing our thing. So the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is our product of the week. So our product of the week is my newest ebook. I don't know if y'all can see it. Trying to make sure y'all can see it. The newest ebook called "Start Your Podcast Now in Only 3 Steps." Start your podcast now in only 3 steps. You can get it at ebooksbyejames.com. That's ebooksbyejames.com. You can get your copy of Start Your Podcast Now. It'll teach you how to start your podcast in only 3 steps. You can have your podcast up and running in less than a day if you do what you're supposed to do. And it definitely gives you the secrets there. So Start Your Podcast Now is our product of the week, and you can get it at ebooksbyejames.com, because you guys know that we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way that we keep ourselves going is by giving you products that you can use. So also on ebooksbyejames.com, there are also some other ebooks. One of them that goes right hand in hand with the Girl Dad Discussions podcast is the ebook called The Core Four, which is core 4 values that every daughter should get from her father. That one is also available at ebooksbyejames.com, as well as others. So make sure that you guys are check us out there at the ebooksbyejames.com. Also, I'm gonna tell you guys how you can win $100 from the podcast, but you got to stay until the end of the episode in order to get that information. So today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Dr. Allen. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Ernest. I'm happy to be here.
Good, good, good. First of all, let me say thank you for being here, because you could have been doing anything else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. And so we're going to jump right on in it. So do me a favor, introduce yourself to my listeners and tell us who you are and what it is that you do.
Hello, listeners. I am Dr. Leona Allen. And first of all, the professional stuff. I'm founder of Freedom Health Systems, where what I do is specialize in natural solutions to healthcare, including chiropractic and functional nutrition. And I've been doing that for 22 years now, and I absolutely love what I do. So I help people with a lot of conditions, physical pain, nutritional deficiencies, you name it. There is a natural way to heal a lot of these conditions that we live with today. I'm also an author of 3 books. One of them I was a co-author for, and the 2 that I wrote are A Journey to Healing, and the other one is Freedom and Change, which is the Freedom and Chains, which is the most recent book that I have published. And the other one is Deeper Women Teach, I was one of 8 authors. So all great books to help elevate you in so many ways. What else? Let's see. I'm also a podcast host, the Heal Deal podcast with Dr. Leona. That's what I love to do. So where I share different topics about health and healing. I also speak on other podcasts, as you can see, and summits and other speaking engagements. I am a mother of 2 boys, very busy. I enjoy gardening, reading, spending time with myself, spending time in nature, researching, and just being a good example to others. So once again, thank you for having me and sharing powerful information with your listeners.
No problem, no problem. Thank you for being on again. And again, like you just mentioned, so this podcast, of course, is called the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. And the reason why I named it, well, I wanted to name it Deal to Heal, but then I looked up Deal to Heal, and it was like, I don't know how many, like 10 of them called Deal to Heal. So I said, well, Deal to Heal with E. James. That'll definitely set me apart from everybody else. But your podcast is Heal to, what is it?
The
It's
Heal
like the
Deal
opposite.
podcast.
Heal Deal podcast. Okay. It was like just the opposite.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you're listening, which I know you are, you're listening and you're watching, the names is very similar. So you can go find it real easy. Because if you're here, then just switch the words around a little bit and go check out the podcast. And we're going to talk about the podcast a little bit later. So Doc, let's go back a little bit, right? To, I know you said you love what you do, but I'm sure there's a journey to getting to the point where I don't know even know if you were in this field already, or was it just something that after going through your own transitions that it was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna do this to help someone else, which most of us in the position and in the profession of helping others, generally we go through something ourselves first, and it's like, okay, now that I made it out, let me go back and help others. And so with your journey, and also speaking on, getting into the natural healing, which we're definitely going to get to, tell us a little bit about your story, that how it all kind of started even with you.
It actually started in stages, but I'll give you the more condensed version of it because I've been around many years. But the first, actually, when I was 8, I knew that I was
Mhm.
fascinated with the human body and how it operated. But when you're that young, you really don't do much about it. It's not supported, really. It's
Mhm.
just going through this, you're going through the phases of life without really putting energy in your dreams. So then I went through school, got distracted and all those good things. And fast forward to college, I actually got a degree in engineering. So I was actually a
Mhm.
mechanical engineer for 4 years. But while I was an engineer, I was still active in learning about health and reading about health and passionate about health. I was still generally healthy. I had the things that people normalize, like headaches and fatigue and things like that, but I was that interest was there. But the event that got to where I was today, is I did go to chiropractic school after being an engineer at Ford Motor Company, and I'm from Detroit, so I was in Dearborn,
Mhm.
Michigan. I did that for 4 years, and I knew that wasn't where I was supposed to be. So I went to chiropractic school because of the philosophy and everything that it represents, natural healing and without drugs or surgery. So I was attracted to that. I was always into the natural healing since a very young age. And from there, graduated, went into business, had children. Now, here's the story. Here's what I had to go through that really transformed to the person that I am today. So, those steps that led me there, but this is one of the big turning points. So, in 2011, I had my second child at 40. And I had gained, by then I had gained over 80 pounds, and my health started to break down. I was pre-diabetic. I had gallbladder disease, liver disease. I was dealing with depression, fatigue. It was just a point where it was hard to live, really. And on top of that, trying to take care of young children and run a business. Because at this time I was in practice for about 3 or 4 years at this point. And that was really one of the major things where I had to change to really heal to at a different level. I was pretty healthy. I ate supplements, I worked out, I was active, but it was different this time. It was like no matter what I did as far as diet and exercise, it wasn't working. So this was one of the biggest things that happened to me, where I got so sick and I wasn't there to be there, a mother for my children.
Mhm.
And I realized there was something I was missing. There was something I had to do. There was someone I had to become before I was able to heal. And that's really the biggest transition, because I was in the practice, I was doing my thing, but I kind of had that mindset: take your supplements, eat right, exercise, and you're going to be okay, and get your adjustments weekly. That was kind of
Right.
my thing. But since I got sick, um, and I had to learn what I needed to do to get well. And that's what transformed my message. That's what transformed who I am. I'm not even the same person I was back then. And it transformed everything in every aspect of my life. Because my tagline is there: achieve more freedom in your health and your life. So it's all together. You can't separate one from the other. So that's the short version of the story.
Okay, okay. So I kind of heard you mention a little bit. You talked about, um I can't say exactly the word you said, but I know it touched me, a chord with me, which is a little bit of mindset, even going into, dealing with the things that you're dealing with, and definitely go to change your mind from, like you said, the supplements and things like that, to going natural. There's a definitely a difference, right? And so when you're talking about going to natural, are you to get into the natural healing of your body? Are you mentioning, or are you? I'm sure food plays a part in it, and also you mentioned about the architect. how do you say it? Chiropractic. I was going
Oh
to say
yeah, chiropractor. Yes,
I was going to say the one with the pins. What is it? Acupuncture? I can't even say it.
acupuncture. You're thinking of
Yeah,
that.
that's what I was going to
A little
say.
bit
But that
different.
is not what you said.
Yeah.
So, in your practice, are you do you deal more with the mental side of it, or is it both? Should I say?
I call it a multi-therapeutic approach. I do I still deal with diet, but also mindset is the key because I'm learning it's maybe the order of things have changed. So when
Mhm.
I'm working with clients, it's about changing their mindset, and with their mindset they're able to take action. So a lot of people, and it's society does it, messes people up. So what I have to do is kind of undo a lot of the damage that society has put on us because we're taught to pacify at a very young age. You're sad, eat some candy, you're in pain, get a drug or a painkiller. So no one's really learning what it really takes to heal the body. No one's really understanding our body. So when I talk about natural healing, I'm talking about getting your body to function the way it's designed because your body knows what to do. But what's happening is our body isn't getting what it needs to heal. So chiropractic attracted me because it was about spinal alignments and removing that
Mhm.
nerve interference so your body can heal. And then as I got deeper into it, I learned that a lot of people couldn't heal because they were deficient in vitamins and minerals and they weren't eating right. So they would get adjusted and then on their way home, go get McDonald's and a large Coke and wondering why they're still in back pain. So I realized that people had to heal at a deeper level where they had to change their lifestyle, take care of their bodies, and also put in the right things in their bodies, whether it's food, thoughts, um, activities. There's so many aspects to it that needs to be addressed. So when I say natural, that's the realm of it all. It's not just one thing that people want to look for, that magic pill, potion, or lotion.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, like the word lifestyle, and so when we talk about lifestyle, and even when it comes to preventing some of the things that we end up dealing with, because like myself, I found out that uh, involuntarily that I'm pre-diabetic,
Mhm.
right? And I end up going to the doctor and getting checked out or whatever, but there are signs along the way, right? And I already know what mine was, and we can definitely get into the food and the things that's in the food. But I already know what my weakness was. What really kicked it off for me is brown pop with that corn syrup. That just kills me. So I
That'll
already
do
knew
it.
what it was. But when we talk about even with that, right? So I'll even put myself on a chopping block here, is because we definitely have to have a mindset shift and a lifestyle shift. Definitely when we know better. Because I'll admit I still drink it every now and then, even though I know I shouldn't. I definitely started drinking more water, right? And so I don't drink it a lot. I started drinking more water often, more than I used to anyway. But when we just even talking about that, when you're talking to your clients to even get them to see that, that if you change your lifestyle, definitely change your mindset, but change your lifestyle, a lot of this stuff can be prevented. And a lot of stuff that we, especially in our community, that's you can kind of go back into our family and see how many generations it
Mhm.
is there is because we all live in the same lifestyle, right? We all pass down the same recipes. We all eating the same stuff. It's like, oh yeah, this is Big Mama's recipe from great grandmama, and then all of us got diabetes because we all keep passing it to the next generation without somebody actually looking at maybe the recipe and say, yeah, well, let me tweak this a little bit so it's a little more better for us. So
Mhm.
even when you're talking to your to clients to kind of get them to understand that and see that connection, what is something that they'll be able to pick up on, even with you when you're working with them.
Well, you made a good point because with the connection, they got to understand how they got there. Because there's people, I think I mentioned I was pre diabetic as well. And I said was, all right. And And I was pre-diabetic and I wasn't drinking pop. I was using juices. I was buying orange juice and apple juice and grape juice. So I mean, so it's so many different levels. You know, you can get diabetes from eating the things that we're told are healthy. So
Mhm.
there's a lot, even a lot of the health foods can lead to diabetes. But when you're healing, and just like, with the heal the deal and heal, the heal deal and deal to heal, where we kind of connect is you got to learn part of dealing with the problem is understanding how you got to that problem in the first place. And it might be generational because a lot of these bad habits are passed on and
Mhm.
normalized. So by the time we realize there's a problem, we had normalized it and accepted it and lived with it. So sometimes it takes that shift for people to be ready to make that change. Because there's some people living with these conditions, but they're not doing anything about it because they think it's okay. It's a part of aging. This is what all my family go through. So a lot of people don't realize, and that's what I'm hoping people listening to this will really get, is to really understand that in order to fix the problem, you have to understand the problem. And hopefully someone's listening to this and saying, you know what, maybe I need to get looked at. Don't wait till the last minute when your
Mhm.
sugar drops and you pass out or you have a heart attack or a stroke, because a lot of these things don't give you warnings. It just happens and no
Mhm.
one plans for that. But we need to start changing our mind and saying, you know what, I'm not going to wait for it to happen. So there's two types of people. There's people, usually the people that have gone through it will change after the heart attack, after they've been on diabetes and their insulin and their glucose keeps rising. Those are usually the people that are ready to change. They're tired of feeling that way despite everything they've done. Then there's the people that are aware of what happens. They're just pre-diabetic. They just know something's off. But they've heard from people like me and other healers that have overcome things and they're realizing, you know what, I don't want to get to that point. I want to change my life now so I can avoid a lot of those problems in the future because I've seen what diabetes can do to the body. And that's what made me make that switch. Like when I learned I was pre-diabetic, I was saying, oh no, let me stop this now because like I said, I had two children I had my children at 36 and 40 and I wanted to be around as long as possible. And I know I had to nip it in the bud at that moment.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times some things we don't know, right? And like I said, because we even some of the things that we believe are healthy for us can still be bad for us.
Right.
Especially when we talk about individuals. Because everybody's body is different, and something that may be supposed to be helpful or something like that may be harmful to you. I tell you, after I found out I was diabetic, I work in construction, right? And so we drink a lot of water on the job. And so they had these little you had to have the little Kool-Aid thing you spray in the water. So you had some color in your water, whatever. So I went and bought some, right? Because I'm like, I'm drinking this water all day long. Well, let me just put some kind of flavor in it. I squirted this stuff in there, and I promise you, as soon as I drank it, I felt my body change, and I'm like, whoa, that's too much sugar, and it wasn't like I poured like a whole lot in there, but it was just that little bit. And as soon as I drank it, I felt the change in my body, and I'm like, okay, I got to go sit down for a second because I immediately like got dizzy a little bit, and I'm like, all right, this is out, so I went back to the water. But some of the things that we think are okay, and see, even some of the things that we've heard are okay, we find out that it's not okay. But until we do the work to try to make the change and look into it, we don't realize it, right?
Yeah.
And so I know I was looking on your page, right? Because I always look at the people page when they come on. I go look at their information, and one of the things that I seen that you had on your Instagram page was talking about our foods, right? And
Mhm.
and even to one thing that I really wanted to talk about a little bit, because you mentioned about um, being whoever they are, controlling controlling what we eat. Definitely controlling what we eat because they're making whatever and they're controlling what we eat, but then they're controlling it with the pricing. And I thought that was just like mind blowing when I thought about it, because I had never really thought about it. But then when you said it, I was like, yeah, because they kind of make the healthier stuff, more expensive. So talk to us a little bit about that idea, because that was amazing to me. It was just a little clip, but I was just like, I got to mention that part because that just stuck out to me.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize. And what I say a lot is people don't know what they don't know. And people don't realize that, it seems like sickness is more supported in this country than health. So
Mhm.
they are the corporations, the food manufacturers. And it is like they use the food when it's preserved, and when it's addictive, they make money. So a lot of this food is conditioned and programmed and manufactured in a way that we get addicted and we feel like we need it and we go back for more. So
Mhm.
that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think that just because it's in the store, it's safe. They don't want to think they wouldn't make this food that would make me sick. They wouldn't do that. And that's how they make their money. They get reliable customers, and they start with children, and people are
Mhm.
hooked from childhood all the way to adulthood, and then they're sick and they wonder why. and
Mhm.
and then on top of that, you got the medical institution that make the drugs, that put people on medication from the sickness. So again, they make a lot of money from that. But if everybody was healthy, was eating organic food and growing their gardens, can you see how that would be so much money out of their
Yeah.
pocket? So that's what people don't really understand or want to understand. And there's a generation of people that are growing up and they don't even know where food comes from. So
Mhm.
again, it's back to being natural. There's a disconnect right now more than ever, from what is natural. They think that just because they bought it and they got it in the drive-through, it's natural. Some people might think that. So to
Mhm.
answer your question, to kind of tie in what that clip that you saw, yes, they do that. They do use price, marketing, and whatever they can do to get people hooked. And price is a major factor because there's people that do want to eat well, but they have to go far away to get it, or it's very
Mhm.
expensive. It's not convenient. So
Right.
now, when I was talking about people not dealing with the problem, everybody wants convenience, everybody wants it easy. And by that time, they're just kind of programmed to follow that route. So I need to break that cycle a lot when I'm dealing with clients.
Yeah, and one of the things you mentioned about the medical establishments. First of all, just in America, period, right? So we are I can't think of the word I wanted to say, it just went off the top of my head. But basically, everything is about money in
Yeah.
America. As long
Mhm.
as somebody's getting paid, somebody's going to make a way to get paid. And so I don't know if you are are you big into stand up comedy? But I am, and so I remember Chris Rock talking about a while ago, one of his old stand ups, that about the basically the same thing. It's like they haven't cured any diseases since polio, right? And it's not because they can't, but it's more money if they can keep you on it, just to kind of appease you, to appease it. I can't. That's not the word I want to use, but they get to keep you on it and keep you in the system of buying drugs to deal with the symptoms, but not necessarily the root of it. Then they can keep you on it and they make more money. So if they just heal it, then the money stops there.
Yeah.
But if they can say, well, if I give you this is gonna, fix the limp, but it might make your stomach hurt. And then when you come back and say, yeah, my stomach did hurt. Well, here, I got something for your stomach. And it's like that, as long as they can keep on dealing with the symptoms and keep you in that cycle, then they still make money. And unfortunately, that's part of being in America, that everybody wants to make a dollar,
Yeah.
and sometimes, at like you said, when people don't think that, yeah, they why would they put something in our food, that's not good for us. It was like, because if they trying to make the most money, they put something in there to make you think you're full, and then that way the actual substance of whatever you're eating, they can stretch that, so
Yeah.
instead of a full cheeseburger, they use a half a cheeseburger and a little bit of whatever else they got sitting around, you know, and now they got, twice as much money for the same thing.
Yeah.
So
And everybody is making money at every stage of the process. And
mhm,
it really starts at birth. I mean, what's natural? Breast milk or formula?
mhm.
Where are they going to make more money from?
A formula.
Quiz.
And formula is
Formula,
definitely
right? So it starts with that. And then Yeah, unfortunately, formula. There's instances, disclaimer here, there's instances when it is needed. Okay. But for the most part, the body can produce the food for the baby, and the baby
Mhm.
can thrive on that for a year at least. So then it starts with that. They do put in the formula, then a lot of that baby food, and then it goes from there. Then they get asthma and all these conditions until they're an adult. So it's like at every stage of the process, they're making money. What food do they cater to the kids? Is it an apple? Or is it the latest cereal with all the sugar in it?
Right.
So it starts very young. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
unfortunate. I'm very passionate about it because I'm like, ah, you know,
Yeah.
it hurts to see that happen and seeing parents, and most of them, their heart's in the right place, but they're just not aware that they're setting up their children for future illnesses. Because I was there too. My dad was a diabetic, and my mom passed from breast cancer. So I came from a family of diabetics, heart disease. I come from that, but I'm trying to break that generational curse and trying to create healthy habits in my own children that are 11 and 15 now.
Yeah, yeah, and I have a similar background. My dad is diabetic also, and my mother also passed away from cancer. So definitely, I understand with that, that bloodline of things continually going on in the family until someone changes it. And it starts with a mindset. And I want to ask you one more question before we talk about your podcast and your books and things, because I definitely want to get into that. But we talked about a little bit about the mind and the things that you believe, right, and know, and then the body itself. Because I think that oftentimes people see that as two separate things, right? So either we dealing with our mental stuff, and then when it comes to health, it's like we deal with our physical health, which would be our body, but we don't realize that they're both. I mean, we realize that they're connected, but we don't think about the fact that they're connected. So how important is it for people to keep that balance between their mind and the body as one, working together, especially when it comes to the natural healing?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. What's the simplest way to explain this? Let me use an example. I have someone come in the office and they're an emotional eater. They're overweight. And one of the things I hear commonly is, I'm an emotional eater. And they try to do the diets and the changes, they try to make the lifestyle changes, but they can't, because as soon as life gets in the way, their heart is broken, as they're lost in a family, they use food to comfort that. So one thing when it's about mindset, so when you try to use food to heal the mind, is not successful. You might feel good for a minute, but once that high goes away or whatever doing to the food that makes people feel better, as soon as it wears out, they feel bad again, sometimes worse. But when you change the mind and your mindset, and instead of being hurt and start to think differently about the loss or learn from the disappointment, that's more of a place of empowerment. You become more solution based instead of problem based. And then you're more proactive and you take different action. And as a result, that action will be better for your body. You're not going to go to the ice cream and the cookies. You're going to continue to take care of your body because your mind is in the right place. So I think people got it wrong in this country. I'm just not in general, for the most part. They want the six pack. They wanted to go to the gym 3 times a week, but nothing changes because their mind hasn't changed. Because as soon as they're invited to that party, as soon as there's a birthday, a graduation, a disappointment, whatever it is, they're going to go back to their habits. So they haven't made it a lifestyle because they're just using the body to kind of regulate what they're going to do and not do. But it always has to come from the mind, because no matter what's going on around you physically, it's your mind that's going to navigate you in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah, that's so important. That's so
Yeah.
important. So I wanna switch it up a little bit, and talk about the podcast. Talk about the podcast. And so, give us the premise of the podcast and how's it been going? Because I know this has been a journey for me. So let's talk a little bit about your podcast and when does it air and things like that. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I started the Hill Deal podcast, and I had to put my name in there too with Dr. Leona. It was some other ones, but I started mine in November of 2022. And I talked about it because actually clients, they, because I love to talk about this stuff. I'm trying not to talk too much because I'm a nerd. I'm a cool nerd. I love to study. I love the research. I love to share physiology. So it's a space for me to share all the knowledge and give people resources. And actually, those patients that said, "Hey, you need to talk about this. You need to have a podcast." I was like, "Okay, why not?" So I started it, and I'm only in 30 episodes. I'm taking a break this summer because it's a busy time of year for me, but I will be starting them back in the fall. But it's really talk about different aspects of healing, and it's about going deeper into those aspects. So more into the mindset, more into addressing the problem, more into understanding the journey and learning how to not only avoid obstacles, but how to go through some of these obstacles and learn from those obstacles. So I want to be different in that way, to talk about the things that aren't discussed, the mindset, the spirituality, not just about, okay, eat this 3 times a day and you're going to be all right. It's about going through a lot of the stuff that we had discussed in your podcast.
Okay, okay. So now let's talk about these books, because you got three books. Because
Yeah.
I have ebooks, right? And I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. I have three ebooks, right? What I was going to say is I've been working on this hardcover book, but I didn't want to bring it back up because I didn't brought it up so many times in the podcast, and I still haven't finished it. So I didn't want to bring it back up. So let's talk about your book. So you have three or more, as in
Yeah,
more.
I have three. So they're behind me here. And the first one I wrote was A Journey to Healing. That's in the yellowish cover. And that was actually my first book I wrote. That was released in 2015. And that has a lot to do with more my physical healing, how I lost 80 pounds and reversed my chronic health conditions. And then and Deeper Women Teach was an anthology. Deeper Women Teach and Freedom and Change were both released in 2021. And Deeper Women Teach was more an anthology where it's different stories of healing from other women. So in that book, I talked more about my healing, my journey, and other women shared their journey as well. And also in Freedom and Chains was released the same year. So that was released in March of 21, and Freedom and Chains was released on my 50th birthday in 2021. And that's more of my emotional and spiritual journey and what I had to go through as I continued healing. Because people think healing is a destination. Once you lose 30
Mhm.
pounds, that's it. But it seems like once you hit one goal, there's another lesson that you have to learn. There's another, um, what's the word? Obstacle that you have to overcome. It's a journey. It doesn't end, and it does evolve. So it comes from the surfacey stuff to I want to lose weight, to, you know what, I want to live my purpose. I want to be there for people. I want to lead others. I want to be a light in the community. So it does grow as you get healthier. So those books are kind of like a timeline of my own personal journey.
All right, all
And
right.
they're available on Amazon. Sorry, but should have
Okay.
mentioned that. They're available on Amazon, and also on my website. You can get more information, drleona.com. And I actually have links to those books as well.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. And I was gonna ask you that anyway. So Doc, first of all, let me say thank you again for being on the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Thank you for being on. I definitely appreciate it. And I know that there is I know that there is someone listening, right? That's on a journey, either beginning the journey, maybe they're in the beginning stages, or maybe they haven't even started yet, but they're definitely paying attention to what's being said. So I want you to have the last word, right? And I want you to leave us with something, whatever you feel free, inspiration, however you feel, right? And definitely those links and things, the information for how they can follow you and get your books and things and things of that nature. My mind is just all over the place. So I want you to have the last word. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with EJ's podcast. Make sure that you guys are following us and checking us out at our websites, right? So the website dealhealfulfill.org is our official website. for the podcast and for everything that I have going on. So make sure that you guys go there so you can find out more about the podcast, both podcasts. Um, Definitely our Deal to Heal teas. Also, the ebooks for E. James is on there. The ebooks is on there, and when you click it, it'll automatically send you to their website. But you also can find out about the workshops that I have going on. And also, as you know, I am also a speaker, so you guys can go there and find information to book me to come to speak at your church, organization, school, whatever it is. We can work it out. So make sure you guys are going there. Dealhealfulfill.org is the website name. Dealhealfulfill.org. Make sure that you guys are looking into that. Also, ebooks by ejames.com. Ebooks by ejames.com. Make sure you guys go there. Definitely, you can get your copy of the new ebook, Start Your Podcast Now in Only Three Steps. Again, that's Start Your Podcast Now in Only Three Steps. You're listening to the podcast. We both got podcasts. You should have your own podcast too. Go ahead and get the ebook so you know what to do to get your podcast up and running by the end of the day, right? So make sure you guys check that out. Also, another thing that I'm very happy to be a part of is a organization called the Forgiveness Mission. Forgivenessmission.com. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops on forgiveness every quarter of the year. So whenever you're listening to this podcast, either one just passed or there's one coming up. And so we definitely I would like you guys to be my guest on that free workshop. We talk about forgiveness, what it is, what it's not, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of the world, and even how forgiveness affects your body, right? And so we're definitely adding more things to it each time so that we have more information for you. So definitely go there, forgivenessmission.com. It's a free virtual workshops. You can go to forgivenessmission.com to register, or you can go to Eventbrite and register for the free forgiveness workshop. Last but not least, which is the part that I know you guys want to find out about, is how you can win $100 from the podcast. You can win $100 from the podcast by entering our super subscriber contest. What do you need to do? First, you must subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our Facebook page, and to our podcast on Spotify. After you've done those three things, text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866 326 0730. That's 866 326 0730 to qualify to win $100. The contest is random, which means that anytime I can pull a name. And once you get in, you're always in. You don't have to apply or anything like that. Once you get in, you're always in, so you can always win. So again, you can win $100 from the podcast by entering our super subscriber contest. First, subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our Facebook page, and to our podcast on Spotify. Then text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866 326 0730 to win $100. All right. So again, Doc, thank you so very much for being on. I'm going to be quiet. You got the last word. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you for having me. And to you listeners, thank you for listening and joining us. And the message that I want to close with is you can heal, but it starts with believing you can heal and taking those steps to make it happen. But it starts with the decision to do it. And then those answers will come your way. So don't believe you have to live with it. Don't think it's because you're getting older and not because it just runs in the family. You don't have to stay where you are, but the change starts with you. Just know that you can heal and start making changes today to get there and start your journey. And you can I have resources on my website, drleona.com, drleona.com. And you also see links to how you can connect with me. I have some breakthrough calls, consultations, ebooks as well. And yeah, just check me out and I'll be happy to see how I can help you in your journey to healing.
All right. We can't say it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help you to deal, to heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys, be blessed. Hey guys, I know you're enjoying the podcast. However, don't forget to join our text line at 866-326-0730. That's 866-326-0730 in order to receive text messages with new events and things that is going on and new episodes as they release. All right, see you in a minute. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.